poppin', you beautiful humans? My name is Ariane Andrew.
I'm Matt Dillon, and welcome to another piping hot episode of Sippin The Tea, where we
Sip the tea and our guests.
spill that tea. Yes. 5 out of 10, that one. What's up, Miss Mama?
What's up, little glitty?
We are here. We're gonna get a little deeper today. Talk mindfulness. We have psychotherapist James Guay in the building. He is an LGBTQ advocate. He's doing some amazing things to find a better place within yourself and for the community, the world. What's up, my friend?
Thank you.
for joining
What's
us.
So
going
nice
on?
to see you both.
Yes, we're so happy to have you here.
Oh, thank
Get a
you.
little namaste action going
Yes.
on.
Right?
What's wrong?
We need that right now in the world that we're
Don't
living
we
in.
all? Yeah, hello.
So we're just gonna dive right on in,
Let's do it.
and I want to talk about your journey and how
Yeah.
you got into psychotherapy. But for our viewers out there who don't know what that is, can
Yeah.
you spill the tea?
Yeah.
What psychotherapy is?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's an opportunity for people to look at any sort of pain that they're experiencing, like anxiety, depression, relationship issues, self-esteem issues. People come into therapy for all kinds of different reasons, and it helps them to understand tools to feel better, but also ways to get to know themselves so that they can live life more from a place of authenticity in the world, which feels good for all of us, right?
1000%.
Completely agree with that.
Yes.
And I like how you explain that because psychotherapy has this like, oh, I get like the hairs on my arms get up.
Right,
And
right,
it's
right.
like, it's actually like
Yeah.
finding the truth within yourself and your own journey. I love.
Yeah, and it can be conversational like this. I laugh all the time with my clients.
Are you saying
you
we're
know?
going through it right now?
It's a therapy session right now.
I'm like, hang on.
So then walk us through, like, how did the journey start? How is it that you knew, like, this was your calling and that you wanted to get into psychotherapy and then own your own business?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think first of all, I had the worst psychotherapy experiences growing up. I think that was sort of a starting point of sorts, where I realized, at a very early age, I grew up in a religious, conservative Christian environment. My dad was a pastor. Everything I knew was that being LGBTQ, being a gay man myself, or boy at the time, was that I was going to hell. And so I wanted to change. I tried doing everything that I could to make that happen, reading books, praying, going to services, all those kinds of things. It didn't work. I was spent, and I asked my parents, I told them eventually, and asked them to see an ex-gay Christian psychologist and try to change from gay to straight, which of course didn't work, thankfully.
Here it is. Yes.
But that was, realizing how bad therapy can be, but then also how useful and effective and helpful it can be, was a big part of my journey. So.
That's an amazing story.
That kind of segues into, because when I was looking you up and like looking at, your current kind of missions and what you do, being an advocate for the community, the gay LGBTQ community, especially like the conversion therapy. So it's, you went through that.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've seen so many documentaries and it's like, I understand perception is changing and the world is changing, but there are still pockets in America that that is so prevalent, like that we're gonna change you.
Oh yeah. There was estimates that came out January of last year where it was 698,000 LGBTQ people had experienced this. And a huge amount of those were as kids, as youth, right? So it's still, legal in, most states, the majority of states, only 18 to date have outlawed it, banned it with minors. So it's still very prevalent,
And as a minor, you're only discovering yourself.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, just because you wear heels, honey, don't mean you turn out gay. But I do.
Right? We're clicking our heels.
I was like, come on, Dorothy, let's go.
I cannot even deal. So for, being such an activist for the LGBTQ community, I mean, it's definitely become like, where people feel that they can be comfortable in their own skin, and it's so nice to see the trend that it's made.
Yeah.
But for, someone who maybe lives like in a small city or where things are still like, ooh, I'm afraid to talk to my family or friends, what advice would you give to them, especially for someone who, has gone through it like yourself, of, having to find that, like, I'm okay with being who I am.
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, it's to recognize that we have worth and value regardless of our sexual orientation or gender identity, that just by the mere existence, that we have worth and value. It's not what we do, it's not who we are, it's not what we produce, it is part of our birthright.
10 tens across
Right.
the board.
So can I get an amen?
Yeah,
right?
Can you amen that
Amen.
shit right there?
Yes.
So powerful.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
wow. You need to
And-
repeat that right in that camera.
Yeah, because
Well,
people
and-
need to hear that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is I worked with LGBTQ youth in San Francisco, many of whom had been kicked out of their homes, many religious homes, right? And moved to San Francisco hoping that it would be a safe haven and realizing that they couldn't make ends meet and they ended up being homeless, doing survival sex, all kinds of other things. So, it impacts us all in all different environments across the country and internationally when we don't accept people for their sexual or gender diversity.
Wow.
I mean, it's powerful stuff, and it's reality. I mean, we're seeing a surgence now in, I guess, more transparency through shows like Pose and different things like that, where it's bringing it into the mainstream culture.
Exactly.
And I think that needs to happen a lot faster because people are dying. People this is such a prevalent conversation, and I just kudos to you for making it your life's mission. I feel.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I also think it's important that we recognize that often as oppressed minorities, however you identify, that oftentimes we do what's been done to us. So there can be racism, sexism, transphobia, biphobia within the LGBTQ community as well. And unless we do our inner work and accept ourselves more fully and be more compassionate with ourselves, then we're just gonna continue to repeat the cycle that's harmful, right?
A domino effect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good point that you touched on just there about within the community itself, whether it's the African American community, whether it's the LGBTQ.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen that prevalent, and I'm like, how are we gonna get the outside world to get in line with us and roll with us?
Yeah.
If we can, if we're condemning people, it's like insanity to me.
Yeah,
It's crazy, and it still happens.
It's repeating how we were wounded and doing it to others to try and relieve any kind of internal conflict. But instead, what we can do is we can be more curious, we can be more mindful about whatever's coming up into our awareness, and then we can care for that, right? From a place like we would a best friend, like being compassionate, being loving, being curious, right?
Much love around here, people.
It's all the love.
We need more of that, though.
We sure do,
because we're
right?
living
In
in
the
such a world right now where it's such an amazing, amazing time where you can do anything and everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's still so much cruelty and there's still so much, hatred in such different aspects of life.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, it's amazing when there's someone like you who can come in and be like, you know what? You're standing for something that's so amazing in the field that you decided to go in. And so I kind of want to have a little
I feel something's coming.
Something's
therapy session. Because I'm someone who suffers from depression and anxiety, and I see a therapist every Tuesday, and I'm very open with that. And a few questions that we got when we say we're going to interview you is your specialty as well is fear of failure and anxiety and depression. So I'm going to talk about the first one. Fear of failure.
Yeah.
A lot of people go through that, especially living here in Los Angeles. So
It's a land of perfectionists.
yes.
Yeah. Wait a second.
Right.
Wait a second.
Am I cute, Bill?
Ooh, you tapping.
I mean, obviously, we're going to save the nuggets because we want people to come and see you.
Sure.
But what would be one thing, I guess, you can say for someone who's experiencing that? Like, a lot of times they say, go work out and do this. But if that's not working, beside medication, what is something you could say to help kind of, get through that?
Well, I think people misconstrue that if I'm not this perfectionist, that I can't achieve excellence. And what's true is that when we are able to sort of, again, more fully embrace our humanity, the fact that we do make mistakes and hopefully learn from them, that we can still achieve excellence, but from a greater place of self-compassion. And then it's going to be a lot more fulfilling because we're connected to our truth, what's important to us. We're maybe doing what's our mission in life. We're connected. We have a sense of integrity. And when we lead from that place and live our lives, then the successes that come our way actually feel like real, because it's not some facade that we're putting on.
Yeah.
We already understand our inherent worth and value. It's not what we produce. That's just an added extra benefit that can be in unison with who we are, right?
Yeah.
I think I'd like the touch on, do you think the evolution is ongoing? Because I feel like sometimes I get to that peak and I'm like, yes, I accept, I am who I am, take it or leave it. And then somebody will like walk past me and I'm like, shit, I just want to be like that.
Right.
Like, I feel like
Comparison to our
all the time.
detriment.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel very comfortable within myself, but then it's maybe like, maybe jealousy, maybe wanting what they have. It's like, it still affects you at any level. And I was like, is that a journey that even yourself, like you're ongoing with? You just...
Absolutely, yeah.
But being able to identify it?
Yeah, I think hopefully we're learning and growing from birth till death, right? And so for me now, it's sort of like, I grew up, the reason I have this specialty of working with perfectionists is that I grew up in that very rigid, fundamentalist Christian environment where I had to be the perfect pastor's kid, right? I also did gymnastics competitively, so it was all about reaching that perfect 10, right? So there were all kinds of external pressures that I had to be a certain way. Otherwise, I was a failure, I was scared I wouldn't receive love, all those kinds of things. So through my own therapy and also providing therapy to others, I was able to recognize, again, this inherent value and worth. And so when my inner critic flares up, when I have a bout of like, oh, I could have done that better, I didn't say the right thing or do the right thing, I'm much better adept at being able to be kinder to myself at some point along the way. It's, in a way, it's like reparenting ourselves, right? Of like,
Yes, rewiring the brain.
Totally. Ooh. And so it's like, right?
So it's like terms.
Well, no, I studied, I'm definitely not on his level, but you start to study because you want to figure things out.
Of course, yeah. So when we can sort of be that our own best friend, our own really good parent, and say, "Hey, it's okay. You fucked up, or you messed up." Sorry.
Okay, no, you can.
Okay.
No, we.
You definitely did
good.
mess up. You're
Okay.
Yes.
today.
Yeah.
Coming.
But when we have those internal messages, then there can be this other part of ourselves that comes out and soothes and supports ourselves and like, hey, it's okay. Like, that happens in life and you can learn from it, and that doesn't sort of exemplify who you are in your entirety, right?
Yeah.
So the more that we can support ourselves in that process, the better. Better for our mental
hear that,
health.
Mama? You best be supporting me.
No, it's the truth, especially with social media.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, it's so easy.
Talk about being able to compare ourselves to someone else's highlight.
Social media
right?
is very...
Your social
it's
media.
pretty. I see.
It's
You're up on the game. You're up on the game.
You've grown a huge social media.
It's been fun, but it's been a process where I've learned, again, sort of different ways of trying to put out some encouraging, inspiring messages, right? And do it in a way that feels like it's who I am. I'm not putting on a facade, even if the pictures are well lit,
Nothing wrong with
whatever.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But again,
Exactly.
right? Freeze
She's
with
like,
us.
I agree.
So what would you say has been the biggest highlight of your career?
Ooh, biggest highlight.
Well, please sip
I know,
that.
right?
Sip it. Sip it.
You're like, ooh, you just hit me with the left field. No, because you're saying all these amazing, like, what you do is amazing, but even the energy that you give off and sitting here talking to you, there's obviously a reason why you have such a large social media and why you're so good and why people want to come see you. So I figure there has to be like that one. I'm sure there's
that
many,
one moment.
but that one
that
moment
affected
that's
you,
affecting
like
you.
really made you feel like, wow.
Like, I'm so happy. This is the reason why I do what I do.
I feel that way so frequently just sitting across from clients, honestly. But I would say one of the events that impacted me the most was when I was asked to testify in the California State Capitol against conversion therapy. California was the first state in the country to ban conversion therapy or to have that pass the legislator. And so when I was asked to come to explain my own personal experience, and that helped to affect the change statewide to protect LGBTQ youth from the harms of conversion therapy and trying to change something that isn't changeable in that way. It felt incredibly fulfilling, satisfying. When the governor signed it and I woke up to that text, I literally just bawled. I was like, oh, yes, this is amazing.
That's amazing moment.
Yeah, that is.
That's
Yeah,
for
it
the
felt
world,
really, really good.
for not only just in California, but for that to be a precedent and for people to see that, and for you to be a part of that, especially with your story.
Yeah.
It's
like coming full circle.
You
It's
really
having
did.
that missed experience. It's providing other people what I didn't receive growing up.
Yeah.
It's all very healing for me too, as
that's
hopefully for others as well, right?
100%. I feel like it's been like that full circle moment. You being able to be like, well, I want to do and give back and do it authentically.
Right.
That's what I feel like you live. Just sitting here listening to you right now, it's like, it's light on some very dark issues.
Right.
And I think that's like breaking that stigma around therapy and even the term psychotherapy, because I was like, ooh, what the hell did he do?
Psycho.
I was like, what do you do?
It makes people feel like,
Yeah, I'm going to run out the door.
or like, I don't want to go do that because I'm considered crazy.
Correct.
But that's not.
And I learned that from you, actually, because I was like, oh, they're gonna. What do you call it? What do they call it when they like? They lock you up because you're really crazy. It was like 1099 or something. W9.
Did you say a 1099?
What is it? Where they put you in that bed because they're like,
Yeah.
you need help.
But the reality is that most therapy for most people is about personal growth. It's about, again, we experience symptoms of anxiety, depression, relationship issues, all kinds of things when we're not in integrity with who we are at our core, right? So the more that we can learn who we are, the more that we can kind of get a PhD in ourselves,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Then those things tend to go by the wayside, and we learn how to navigate the stressors of life in ways that we can still enjoy and thrive in life, right? So that's how I see therapy.
What's your schedule next week? We're going to come
You
to
can
your
schedule
couch.
online.
We're going to come to honey, you're sitting right in front of me. I don't do the online.
Okay, we're gonna end it on a nice little positive note. We're gonna do a few quick rapid fires for you.
But it's like rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Yes. Okay. So
Girl.
what?
Kidding.
Okay. Favorite junk food?
Ooh, I would say Reese's cups, peanut butter cups.
Those are
Ooh,
cool.
how Halloweenish.
Chocolate and peanut butter.
How Halloweenish. Well, that's a hilarious one. I didn't even see that in there. I'm not asking that one, Chef. Do you snore?
On occasion, not always.
Okay, like
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
1000%. Okay.
If I'm really exhausted, I will, but otherwise, not really.
Fill in the blank. Cardi B is.
Fun.
I like that.
I like that. Okay, well on that note, we're gonna. Oh wait, you want to do
We
one
should
more?
do one more.
Oh, okay.
One more.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let
What's
you.
your favorite type of tea?
Oh, some kind of herbal tea that's like chamomile. It's calming. It's soothing.
Juicy tea, honey.
You like the black tea.
Girl,
Something with a little kick. That could be taken in multiple
That really
ways,
was.
right?
I was like,
I didn't.
okay, bye. That
You just disclosed something,
She
didn't
really
you?
did. Hi, mommy. All
We're
righty.
gonna have you look right here in the camera. Plug your social media,
Oh,
where
sure.
people can book appointments, and just
Absolutely.
everything that you would like to plug.
Sounds good. Well, my Instagram is James, James Guay LMFT, James Guay LMFT. And my website is livingmorefully.com. You can find all kinds of videos, podcasts, all my social media stuff there too.
Who doesn't want to live more fully?
That's,
Right?
that's
Hello.
the most-
You better get with it.
I had a friend, a colleague, who said, I'm going to create a website living even more fully.
I'll be
Oh.
like,
It's really
you know what you're going to
funny.
do? Bam!
Right.
Bye, friend.
Hey,
Bye, friend.
original's worth more than a copy.
There you
okay?
go.
You guys can follow me across the board at Ariane Andrew and this little nugget at Glitty Glit.
You can follow me at Matt Dillon 1983 and Miss Mama. She was feeling very zenful today. Did you learn something? Yeah, good girl.
All right, guys. Until next week, you can catch us on Sippin The Tea on EverTalk TV.
We'll see you then. Thank you
Yes,
so much,
cheers.
Matt. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheersies.
Bam.